while people are dropping in here, I thought I would introduce myself to you, if you want to or not. But my name is Martina, and I'm an education officer here at the Faculty of Science. I am originally from Germany, and once upon a time, a very long time ago, I was also a student looking into studying in a different country. And chance had it that I had the possibility to do both my bachelor's degree and parts of my master's degree in 2 different countries, actually. And those experiences really were like life changing for me. So I decided that that's what I want to work with. I want to help other students get the possibility to study abroad. So this is what we're basically talking about. You are international students looking into studying in Gothenburg and Sweden, possibly. So we are here today to talk to you about this. And I have 2 international student ambassadors with me that are international students in a different country, who will share their experiences. And I'm also joined by 2 study counselors. So I will get this started and just let you know what we're talking about today. A little bit about our programs, of course, admissions process. Then our students will talk about their experiences, a little bit about Gothenburg and housing, and also about the welcome program and events that you can expect to experience here in Gothenburg. We will finish the webinar with a Q&A. And for your information, we will go through all of the information first and open up the floor for questions afterwards. So bear with us, we will go through the information. You are more than welcome to put your questions in the Q&A box in the meantime, but we will not answer questions during the information part. We will take that in the end. So with that being said, I would like to hand over to Eva-Lena, who is going to introduce life science and chemistry at the University of Gothenburg.
Well, hello to you. As Martina said, my name is Eva-Lena Axelsson, and I'm the study counselor for the master program in molecular biology. First, I would like to start with a question. What are you interested in? And what drives you? What are you aiming for? Perhaps you would like to get the knowledge to be able to work with the questions that is high on the agenda to find answers to in the world today. Is it the climate change or the human health that you're drawn to, perhaps? Well, the master program in molecular biology can meet your curiosity and prepare you well for both work in various industries, public authorities, but also for doctoral studies and continued research, of course. You can tailor your studies to your own interests and ambitions with master level elective courses. During your studies, you will learn how the cell's DNA, proteins, and molecules act and interact, and how you can solve major biological problems by changing the cell's functions and properties. And in the area of molecular biology, new technologies have been developed and continue to develop even further, making it possible to see what is happening at the cellular and molecular levels. And at the end of your studies, the 2-year program, of course, you will perform an individual laboratory-based project of up to 1 year in one of our research groups. And just to mention a few areas our researchers are focusing on, it's aging, cancer, infections, antibiotic resistance, protein quality control, stress resistance, infections, neurodegenerative diseases, and much more, of course. And you will be there too, do actual and often cutting-edge research. As you can see, there are a lot of opportunities to gain new and important knowledge, and with our small classes and well-equipped laboratories, and next year we will have a new a totally brand new building even and laboratories, you will have the possibility to develop yourself and your knowledge well, and you will have great possibilities to have close contact with our researchers. And I'm sure our student representatives can verify that. And that was all for me right now. So thank you for your attention, and I will turn over to my colleague.
Yes, my name is Per-Martin Björmark. I'm the study counselor in chemistry and in medicinal chemistry for the master's program we have. As I told you, we have 2 master's programs, one in chemistry, which is quite flexible. You can choose courses from any courses that we offer. However, we have a few routes that we have determined for suggesting for a degree, and it's one in biochemistry and one in environmental chemistry or analytical chemistry. You can take courses the first year and maybe a degree project for the whole second year. But you can also take a few courses the second year and a shorter master thesis. The master project is always a practical project within one of our research groups. To be admitted for the master's program, you need a bachelor's degree and you need 90 credits of chemistry. 90 credits, that corresponds to half a bachelor in Sweden. You also need a proof of English. We also have another program in medicinal and organic chemistry. And here are the courses fixed, and you study courses for the first year, and that is courses in advanced organic chemistry, medicinal chemistry, and you study molecular modeling. This is the first semester, and the second semester you study more medicinal chemistry and more organic synthesis. All students on this program, they do a master thesis for 1 year, which also is in one of our research groups. To be admitted to this program, you also need a bachelor's degree and 90 credits of chemistry, but you also need at least 22.5 credits of organic chemistry, and this corresponds to the course we have in organic chemistry, which is based on the book by John McMurray. We're also going to have interviews via Zoom for this year's intake. So if you apply for this program, we will invite you to a Zoom meeting in February. Why should you start studying life science in Gothenburg then? Well, we belong to one of the top 40 universities worldwide within the field of life sciences. That is a good reason. We offer teaching in quite small groups and in close contact with the teachers and researchers. All our teachers are researchers. We use problem-based learning and laboratory-intensive courses, and they are always connected to the ongoing research in the research groups. In most programs, you can tailor your education and create a unique profile. In Gothenburg area, we have attractive future employers. For example, the big chemistry company Neurion. We have the Sahlgrenska University Hospital and AstraZeneca. The new arena in Gothenburg for life sciences and innovation, the GoCo Health Innovation City, is also here.
Does this sound interesting for you? Well, the application is open now, and you all apply to all programs at the universityadmissions.se, and you will need to submit your degree diploma, a transcript of records showing that you fulfill the entry requirements, and a copy of your passport. And if you are need a student residence permit, you will need to know that you need to go to the nearest Swedish embassy to show your passport in person when you apply for the visa. And it's a really long process, so start in good time if you're interested. I'd like to urge you. You also need to show proof of the level of your English. So please read the application site's information thoroughly, so that you see to that you have all your documents in order and are ready to submit at the latest the 15th of January. What you do not need to submit is a CV or personal recommendation. But I'm not sure, Per Martin, is it that you need a motivational letter? We
recommend all students to write a motivational letter and also have recommendations from their home university.
All right.
And those can be uploaded before the deadline, or maybe a few weeks later. There is a deadline for submitting documents. I think it's February 1st or maybe the day before. It's on universityadmissions.se.
Yeah. So that you don't need to submit all these things. That goes for the molecular biology program. And it must be, of course, difficult to remember all these things, but here you have our contact information, and you can always get back to us with your questions. So thank you so much for your for your attention, and we will stay on for questions later on, perhaps. I'll leave the floor to next person.
Yes, thank you very much. And this is the part where we let our students in. So Judith, you're welcome to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your experience here in Sweden.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Judith, and I come from Cameroon. So I did my bachelor studies in Montreal in Canada. And after that, I decided to come here to study ecotoxicology here in Sweden. And I chose this program mostly because I wanted something that is specific on environmental toxicology. So during my last year of my bachelor in biochemistry, I took a course that was so interesting. It was called environmental biochemistry. And I wanted then to change careers and, well, not such a big change, but to look more into environmental sciences, specifically toxicology. And the master's in ecotoxicology is exactly that. It's very specific, and it's exactly what I wanted to do. And another thing that convinced me is also the fact that, as Per Martin said, that you can, for some degree projects, you can do a longer thesis project. You don't have to do only one semester. You can choose to do a longer time. So I had this option in ecotoxicology, and that's what I chose. So right now I'm in my second year, and it's entirely my thesis project and research. So these are just a few pictures of me. On the top, I am sampling for my project in the Göta Älv. We're taking sediments from the river, and below I'm in the lab processing some water samples. Yes, so to talk a little bit about the city of Gothenburg as a whole, it's a very international city because we see here that there are a lot of people from many different backgrounds all over Europe. This is something that I really loved and that really surprised me when I arrived here in Sweden, which is not really the same if I compare with my studies in Canada. You have people from different parts of Canada, but they're still from Canada, and a few people from the US. But here in Sweden, you will meet Swedes, you will meet Germans, French, Cameroonians, Kenyans. So it's really a very international city, and people come for studies or for work. And actually, there are a lot of students here in Sweden, more than 60,000 students. And we can say that it's really a student city. And you can see a lot of discounts and so on, discount in the public transportation system, discount in grocery stores for students, because they are aware that there are so many students, and there is really a versatile public transport system. For me, it was surprising to see that the boat is included in the public transport system. That's quite versatile for me. So it's quite good. You don't need a car. If you bike, there are the entire city is bikeable. There are reserved bike lanes, and you can take the tram, the bus, the boats, depending on where you live. And nature is really around the corner. It's not a way of speaking. It's literally, you can just walk off your building for 5 minutes and you're already in a forest or like in a small park. The picture below is me around Delhön. It's quite a big, beautiful lake. And I think it takes me maybe 10 minutes by bus to get there. And all around it, there is like forest spaces. So if you're a nature lover, you will really love it here in Gothenburg. So a little bit about the study system in Sweden. So the masters are 2-year programs, and basically the years are divided into semesters. So for 1 year, you have 2 semesters, and the semesters are divided into periods normally. So you have 2 periods in each semester. And you have to do a thesis project at the end of your master's normally, and you can choose how long you want it to be in certain programs. But I would say that the standard is usually 30 credits. So 1 semester, that's a bit the standard worldwide. But here in Sweden, you have multiple programs where you can choose, and somewhere it's actually mandatory to just take the 60 credits and have it 1 year. And I think it's interesting because it gives you a lot of practical work, and you can you can choose to work either in a lab at the university or in the industry as well. And you're evaluated in multiple different forms. So we're all used to the final exam at the end of each course, but here there is a lot of spread, because it can be really stressful for students to have this big final exam at the end of the course. But it's really interesting that here it's a bit spread, so you can have different quizzes, you can have written reports, you can have oral presentations and literature reviews that kind of spread a little bit the distribution of the grades, so that the final exam is not that big monster that you have to overcome at the end of the course, but you can have 15% in the lab and 10% in this presentation, and so it makes it less stressful. And in addition to that, you have the ability to retake some exams. So if, for example, at the final exam date, you were not feeling fine, or you had another problem, you can simply sign up to take the re-exam. Or maybe you didn't have good grades for when you wrote it the first time, you can decide to retake the exam on the second date and hopefully perform better. And the grading system here is either fail, pass, or pass with distinction. And each course leader will give you the percentage. So for example, at 85% plus is pass with distinction, pass would be this percentage. And you will see exactly where you stand. And so far, I would say that I have only had pass with distinction in all my classes. So either I'm a genius or it's not too hard, but yeah, I'm not a genius, so it should be fine if you attend all your lectures and you read all the course material that has been made available to you. Even though the lectures are not mandatory for most of them, I would really advise to always attend, because then you would always be aware of all the course material and you won't have that much pressure when exams will come. So yes. And of course, we have the study counselors that are always available by email or even by phone. I think I usually call them a lot, actually, to ask any questions. And if you do not know, like you have a concern and you do not know who to contact, you can contact the study counselor and they will orient you to the right person. If you have a concern with a teacher, if you have concerns about your mental health, maybe during the winter or anything, you can contact them and they can either help you or reorient you to the right person or department.
Yes. Let's see.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, this last slide is just to remind and insist that for us who are non-Swedish students and who are outside of the EU as well, you need to apply for a residence permit before you're able to come to Sweden, obviously. And that usually takes a lot of time. So that's why it is really highly, highly recommended to apply in the first admission round. Because if you apply in the second admission round and you delay, you might get the acceptance, but you might not have your residence permit on time. So it's very important that you apply in this first upcoming round, which ends in January, the 16th of January, so that you will have your admission results by April and you have plenty of time to have your residence permit without any stress, and to even come maybe a month before, a few weeks before, and settle and handle the housing issues and so on. Yes, and of course, the process happens before coming to Sweden. So you submit your application online, but then afterwards, what you get is a residence card. It's not a visa in your passport. So you actually need to visit an embassy to give your biometrics, and then they will print the card for you. So because you have to do all these to and fro, and there are some countries that do not have embassies, you might have to travel to another country. Like I said, I'm from Cameroon and there is no embassy in Cameroon, so I had to travel to Nigeria. These are things that can take some time. So it's important that you really apply as early as you can so that you don't have that last minute pressure. And there are also a lot of scholarship available. As international students, we are worried because it might be expensive. But there are multiple scholarships available for international students. There are the ones offered by the University of Gothenburg, like the Axel Edler Scholarship that completely covers your tuition, some by the Swedish Institute and some by other external funding agencies. So if you just click on this link, you will see a page on the GU website that has a list of these scholarships and a link to go to find other external sources of scholarship.
Thank you very much, Judith. And clicking on the link, of course, we will send out the presentation to everybody who had registered and who's attending today. So with that, I would like to invite Berit to introduce herself and talk a little bit about what she's doing here and studying here.
Yes, hello everyone. So I'm an international student from the Netherlands. And I did my bachelor's in chemistry in the Netherlands, and then I worked for a year at an organic chemistry company. And how I got to go to Sweden to study my master's here was because I got very involved in the whole world of medicinal chemistry, which I actually didn't know much about. And during my year working at this company, I got sucked into that world, and I found it so interesting that I wanted to learn more. And therefore, I decided to do a master's, and I really wanted to do one in organic and medicinal chemistry. And that is how I came to Gothenburg, because here they had the perfect master for me, and that was the master in organic and medicinal chemistry. And I'm also in my second year right now. And as you heard that Per Martin said, we have to do a thesis that is 60 credits, so a whole year. And I really like that, because for me that is, it was kind of a must that I could do a long thesis, as I have experienced that you learn more by doing things practically, especially when you have a long thesis, because then you can really get into the stuff. And can really do real research, which I think is really interesting. For my master thesis, I decided to do it in computational drug discovery, as there is not a lot of masters who actually give this as part of the medicinal master. And here they have a computational group within the university. So I was really happy that I got the opportunity to do a master thesis in this. And yeah, the master has, for me, a perfect mix between medicinal and organic. As Per Martin already said, it is almost 50-50 what you get, and you kind of need one of them for the other one, so they really work together. So if you want to pursue a career in medicinal chemistry or in organic, you kind of need the other one. And I think this master really gives the great mix of both of them. What to look forward to in Gothenburg? As Judith already said, there is literally nature everywhere around you, and it's so nice. And right now we already got snow, which I'm really happy about because I love snow. And it just makes the city even more beautiful, I think. So the first picture here on the top is from one of the islands here, because Gothenburg is quite famous for its archipelagos, which is a lot of small islands just outside the city. And you can get there within an hour from the inner city. And then you are like in a beautiful nature reserve, and it's just really pretty. And the picture underneath is from me doing organic chemistry in the company that I worked at. A last thing that is amazing here in Sweden is fika. I don't know if you guys know about that, but fika is that you have coffee with a nice pastry, most of the times like cinnamon bun. And that is really a nice thing. You can just have it all day long and every day, and you can never get tired of it. So moving on, I'm going to talk a bit about housing, because for every international student, that is always like one of the main points to be worried about. And at least what I've heard from everyone who has gone to study abroad, like this is the worst part of it almost. Because it's kind of hard. It doesn't really matter to which country you move. It would always be hard for international students to find housing. But of course, it's not impossible, because we are all here and we all found housing one way or another. And it really differs how people found it. So one of the first things I would suggest you guys to do is to directly register now on SGS Studentbostäder. This is the housing the house company from the university itself. So the university provides, or SGS provides housing for students, also international, but also Swedish students. And how longer that you are in the queue, how more on the top you get. So how easy it is to get housing here. You do need quite a long queuing time to be able to get something, but that's why I recommend to already sign up now. It doesn't matter that you are not admitted yet. Your queuing already is from the day that you signed up, and then you can provide the stuff later that you need to provide, like that you are admitted to the study. There are some like tricks to get housing through SGS, because it's a really nice way of getting housing here, and that is focus on the housing options direct and sista minuten, because that means that these housings are like available at that direct spot, or like are available for last minute, for example, that someone didn't want it anyway, so then it goes on again, and then they just need someone to fill it, and then it doesn't really matter with the queuing time. Also, there are a lot of Facebook groups which provide housing, that someone can write that they are searching for someone to move into one of the rooms in the house, or to sublease it while they are gone. And also different online websites, such as some you can find at Student Housing, the last link here. So I wanted to say how I found my housing, because last year I found it through social media, kind of, because I posted on LinkedIn that I was going to study in Sweden, and then someone contacted me who actually lived in Sweden and said, yeah, I know this guy, he can probably, like, he knows a lot of people, he can probably provide you housing. And through that guy, who is now one of my friends, I got a housing here, my own apartment. I could only stay there for a year, which was unfortunate. But now, because I already signed up to SGS 2 years ago, when I knew that I wanted to study here in Gothenburg, I had the possibility to actually get my own small little apartment through SGS this year. Because there are right now a lot of getting built here in the city, new housings for students, which means that these housings like goes onto SGS, and there's like a whole apartment complex, and then it's easier also to get housing through that, because there is a lot online, and that's how I got my own studio through SGS, which I think is really nice. Also, some things that you can think about when applying for housing is that you should not be too picky. You should not only focus on like in the middle of the center or like 5 minutes from the university, because those are really hard to get. So also look outside the city. As Judith told, the public transport is amazing here, so you can always get into the city within half an hour or 45 minutes. And also don't be too specific on a budget. Like, of course, don't go above it if you can't, but don't think that you can, for example, find something that is really cheap, because Sweden is a bit more expensive than other countries. And one other thing that's really good is to join the student union here, because then you can get 2 months more queuing time on SGS, and that also already helps you. Yes, so there are a lot of options. One thing I wanted to say was that watch out if you go through Facebook or like online search platforms for housing. Watch out for scammers, because they are present, and but that's always the case. But yeah, trust your gut in that way. And then, of course, in the beginning, when you guys come, we have a welcome program and a lot of events for new students. So the welcome days are in August with arrival service from the airport. The last years we didn't have that due to Corona, but now it's back into service again. So that is nice for new international students, because you don't know how to get into the city from the airport. So then it's nice that we have this arrival service. And these welcome days are in the last weeks of August, and then they talk about all different kinds of stuff, like what you should think about when you come here, for like ID and registration and fun facts, or like fun things that are good to know. And then throughout the semester, there are all kinds of activities by, for example, us student ambassadors. And also through other study, what's called groups, such as the body groups, and also student unions. We as international students are welcome to join the Swedish student unions. I'm, for example, in a student union right now, a dance group from the university, from Chalmers. And then it's a good way to learn Swedish. And then, of course, there are also events by the ESN network, the Erasmus Student Network, Unimeet, and Move to Gothenburg. They all have so many events throughout the years, doing all kinds of fun stuff, and that is a great way to meet new people. So yeah, there is enough to do when you get here.
Yeah, I don't think you will be bored in a city like Gothenburg, second biggest in Sweden. So and like everybody mentioned, directly by the coast, so it's really easy to get out of the city and do stuff there as well. I'll stop sharing the presentation for now and look at some of the questions that we got. We have a question: how many students are approximately in a course in medicinal chemistry? Per Martin, can you?
Yes, usually we have between 10 and 15 students on the program, and those students are the only ones taking the courses for the second semester. The first semester we have a few more students, so maybe 20 to 25 students usually for those courses. You never know what happens in the future, but it's how it has been.
Yeah. And next,
maybe I think.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Go ahead. If you. Otherwise, we have another question also for you. I don't know if you can answer that right away, but can a student with a Bachelor of Pharmacy and Doctor of Pharmacy apply to a bachelor, or I think the person means a Master in Medicinal Chemistry?
Yes, we usually have some applicants having those kind of degrees, but usually they have studied not so much organic chemistry that we demands, but that depends on where you're from actually. But usually those students need to study more organic chemistry to be admitted to the program in organic and medicinal chemistry.
And you mentioned it depends on where you're from. Is that something that you would see on university admissions, or is that something that's on our website, or can they ask you?
No, usually all the applicants used to send in the syllabus from all their courses in organic chemistry. I usually request those once you have applied, and then I usually from the syllabus I usually see how much organic chemistry the applicant have studied.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
as I told you, this year we also going to have some interviews for many of the applicants.
And that's new for this year.
That's new for this year, but we have had it in the past.
Okay. There was a question maybe for the students. I don't know if that's something that you can answer, Judith. What are the quotas for the scholarships? Are they difficult to get?
Yeah, so the exact quotas, I'm not sure that they are, well, it depends on the scholarships. I know, for example, that the scholarships offered by the Swedish institutes, the SI ones, I think last year they had about 10,000 applicants and they gave out about 800 scholarships. So that should be kind of, but yes, the scholarships are quite competitive. They're not impossible to get, but they are quite competitive. So you really have to make sure that you had good grades in your bachelor and also write a good motivation letter, because everybody else is going to come with really good grades from your bachelor, of course. Yeah, but it should be reasonable. There is this SI opportunity. There is also the ones offered by the university, but that one is a tuition waiver, and I think they try to give one for every program. So then you have a bit more, but it's still quite competitive. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one you mentioned that earlier, the Axel Adler scholarship. And if I'm informed correctly, you will actually find out if you apply for the Axel Adler scholarship, which I would really recommend everybody should apply. You will actually get a response to your scholarship application before you know if you have been admitted. So that's how it was the last couple of years. So don't be alarmed by that. It's just the way the scholarship is handled. Oh no, maybe, sorry, I'm wrong. You get an email informing you that you can apply before you know that you are admitted. That's how it is. Yes. So make sure to apply, because who knows? I mean, we know within the group of international student ambassadors, I know there is quite some that have the Axel Adler scholarship. So,
and to apply for the Axel Adler scholarship, don't forget the requirements. Of course, you're going to see it on the website when you do your research, but you have to choose the University of Gothenburg as your first choice, and you have to apply in the first round. So the Axel Adler is not available if you are applying in the second round. So that's an additional reason to apply as soon as you can. Yeah.
Yeah, and now that you mentioned that, anyways, Eva-Lena, do you have something to add there about the first and second admission rounds? It sometimes it's a little bit confusing on the website, maybe.
Yeah, it might be a little bit confusing, but The first round, which is open now, it is for international students mainly. And that is because we have seen that, I mean, it takes time to evaluate previous education. And in order to move to a totally different country, you need time to, I mean, plan for all this, find housing, sort your finances and all these things. Even if you are coming from a country within Europe, it might be a good choice to apply for the first round. It's not necessary if you are not in need of a visa or a study residence permit. But if you are in need of a study residence permit, you really need to apply for the first round. The national round is open for everyone to apply for as well, but you will not get admitted because all the things will not be in order normally. You can get admitted to the program, but you will never ever have a study residence permit in time to get to the start of the semester, unfortunately. So as Judith said, it's really urgent that you apply as soon as possible. Once you have gotten your admission to apply for, you need to pay your first semester tuition fee in order to be a study residence permit applicant as well. So read all the information on the migration board thoroughly. It takes time, unfortunately. But it's not impossible since we have international students, as long as you do the things in good time.
Yeah. Maybe I can ask you the next question here as well. If a high school diploma is one of the compulsory documents to apply for a master's program, or is it enough with a bachelor degree?
Well, normally it is enough with a bachelor's degree, but it depends as well on the level of English, which is supposed to be proven. And you can read that it's if you visit universityadmissions.se, you will find quite a lot of very important and really good information as well about different entry requirements, about the English, what sort of what type of documents that you can submit to prove the level of your English and so on. So go to that universityadmissions.se and read on the entry requirements mainly, and follow those instructions, and you will know what applies for you.
Thank you. And next question, maybe either Berit or Per Martin, if it's possible to write your PhD thesis after the master's program in medicinal chemistry.
Yes, it is. I like do your PhD, if that is what they mean.
Yeah,
I
would say that many of our students end up doing a PhD thesis eventually, me included. But some of them in Gothenburg and some of them in other universities in Sweden and some of them abroad.
But I think it's worth mentioning as well, Per Martin, that is, if you to get into PhD studies in Gothenburg at the Swedish university, it is not something that you don't apply for a course or doctoral studies. You apply for a position.
Yes,
because,
of course.
yeah.
Of course, that is a position for 4 or 5 years you apply for, and all are announced at the GU website. And I think it's the same in all the universities in Sweden.
Yeah. And the one more question, if the Master of Molecular Biology will be available this year for next year's intake, I'm guessing, for the 2023 autumn intake, and it will be, right?
Yeah, the Master in Molecular Biology is open now for international applications and will be open for applications in April as well. And it will start the 28th or 9th of August. I don't remember which day was a Monday, but that Monday, the program will start.
very lovely month to come to Sweden in August and experience the summertime in Sweden. It's lovely. And if you're lucky to be here in time, you will maybe not meet Berit and Judith since you're graduating, but you will meet some of the other student ambassadors that are helping us with our welcome day. So we make sure to welcome you in an appropriate way to the university. Well, I don't think we have any open questions for now. Like I mentioned, we are sharing the presentation with everybody that registered, and we have put the information on in the register in here where you can find more information. I just wanted to mention that Berit and Judith both actually are part of our Instagram team. So we have an Instagram account. If you're not already a follower, please follow them. They are really great ambassadors of the faculty and showing what a normal day in a student life can look like on our account. The recording of this webinar will also be put on our YouTube channel. So if you have friends or colleagues that couldn't make it today, or if you have questions that you want to look at again, you can find the recording there. I will have included the link here. I also want to mention our virtual tour, which is a 360-degree tour that you can take of the facilities that we have at the faculty, because as you might know, the University of Gothenburg is not a campus university, but is spread out all over the city a little bit. Most of the faculty is already kind of in the same area of the city, but starting next year. So if you're coming here for next autumn, you will most likely be, or you will be in our new building, where we will be closer to our health sciences as well, for example. So check the virtual tour out. It's really neat to see where we are located in the city. And then Berit and Judith already mentioned some of those groups and websites. So if you have questions about housing or what it's like to study here, you can check those out. I also included all our other master's programs that you can study here at the faculty. So all in all, we have 20 master's programs that are conducted in English. And again, if you have friends or colleagues that are interested in studying here, we have other webinars coming up. Check those out and join us there. And with that, I don't have anything else to add. I would like to thank you for listening and thank my colleagues and student ambassadors for spreading their knowledge and information that they have, and hope to see you here next autumn.
And do not hesitate to get in touch with us if you have questions that you get to think about once we have closed this webinar.
Yes. See you, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.
As we say in Sweden. Hej då.
Hej då!